Welcome to Just a Key at Heart, where we unlock the dreams and passions within, guiding you to live the most abundant, balanced, and empowered life. Let's turn the key together. Hi, everyone. I'm Brienne, and this is episode 2. I don't know if I told you all, but episode 1 of creating it. I think I recorded it a couple different times. One time I for sure didn't even press record, so that was good. But we are officially on episode number 2. I am opening up about a deeply personal journey that has transformed my life, my path to sobriety, and more importantly, how it led me to truly find myself. So, if you are somebody that has honestly been questioning your relationship with alcohol, or wondering if there's more to life than the party scene, then this episode is for you. Let's dive into how quitting drinking became my key to discovering who I really am. So, randomly enough, I didn't start this journey with a grand plan to quit drinking. It actually just came from a series of small moments that forced me to question, why am I drinking? Why do I keep doing this to myself? For instance, I used to get hungover literally an hour after starting to drink. I would get sick, I would start feeling like crap. I remember sitting there thinking why am I doing this? I don't even like the taste of alcohol. I kept trying to find all these drinks that I actually liked, and in reality, I just didn't like any of them. But I kept going because everyone else was drinking it. It is just such a societal norm to go to places and drink, go to parties. When you're in your 20s, you're supposed to be at bars and turning up and doing all these things. Also, our friend group, my husband's friend group and our friend group, they all loved drinking. I didn't want to be the odd one out. And my husband loves to be around people. He is in his element at parties. The energy just brings him to life. And I didn't want to be the person that ruined the fun. As a recovering people pleaser, as I like to say, I absolutely loved watching the people I care about have so much fun. And so I just kept putting myself in these situations because they were having fun. And I'm just it doesn't matter how I feel. It doesn't matter what I think, right? And so I just kept having these moments of dissonance, what is happening, and so have any of you listening ever felt this way? You're doing something just to keep up with everyone else, even though it doesn't feel right for you. It's honestly tough to go against the flow, especially when the people you love are thriving in these environments. I think that was one of the things I just kept questioning myself. What is wrong with me? Why don't I like this? I don't want to be different. And so, like I said, for me, the turning point wasn't a dramatic event. It was realizing that every time I drank, I felt worse. Even in college, I had 2-day hangovers. I felt like crap. I was super cranky. And so, you know what? I just made a change. First, I basically slowed down my drinking, and then I honestly stopped altogether. I didn't necessarily plan for it to happen. Just over time, I became the person that didn't drink. And really what actually kind of started it was, one, yes, I didn't really feel better, but I also wanted to get pregnant. And as somebody that is over the age of 35, I knew that, based upon research and all these things, that women my age struggled more getting pregnant. And I did not want anything to hinder that. And so I also stopped drinking because I knew the connection between your liver and your hormones, right? So if I'm drinking, all this alcohol is making my liver toxic. Well, your hormones are processed in your liver. And so then I'm okay, well, why would I do that? It's not helping me. So I definitely for sure stopped drinking a year before I got pregnant with my second son, who is now 3. So honestly, it's been 4 or 5 years, right? Just of that. So during my pregnancy, it was easy to stay away from alcohol because I knew it wasn't healthy for me or the baby, right? We all do that. But even after my child was born, I didn't want to go back to drinking. The more I stayed away from alcohol, the clearer my mind became. And that's honestly when I started to realize I had been using alcohol to mask things, kind of mask things, but also make it so I could handle being a part of the parties. I would get anxious when I would go certain places, the social pressure, the fear of judgment, all these things I would do, or all these things that I would feel, I would just drink through it. Like, I remember when my husband and I were first starting dating, and we would go downtown, and I would be so anxious because I just didn't like to be in those spaces based upon like trauma that I had felt prior to that, being sexually assaulted by men, being groped and touched by men when I didn't want it. And so it was like when I would go back to those places, I would just have these like triggers of things that were going on, and I wouldn't say anything because I didn't want to ruin the time, right? And so it was just me starting to realize like I was drinking so that I could handle chaotic spaces. I used to drink through the anxiety of parties and crowds. But once I was sober, I had no way to escape these feelings. You know, when you're the sober person, you notice everything. You're noticing infidelity. You're noticing people saying things that they would never say before. You're like noticing all these things, which then I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't want to be here before when I was drinking alcohol. And now I really don't want to be here because I'm stinking sober. I just started noticing all these things around me that I, to some degree, was blind to before, but not fully. I just saw how vulnerable and sometimes unsafe these environments were. And I'm starting to realize safety is a really big thing for me. I want to feel safe. And when I'm around like places like tailgating at big football, and going to big bars, I don't feel safe. And I'm realizing my sense of safety is so important to me. And I just like didn't want to be there. I was thinking about one night I was at a specific party fully sober. And it was one of the first times I'd gone out without drinking at all. And I just honestly thought I would be fine. But as the night went on, I started feeling more and more uncomfortable. I wasn't anxious because I couldn't drink. I was anxious because seeing what was happening, just like the loud chaoticness. And I just didn't like it. And in that moment, I was just like, I don't enjoy this. And so I had to start finding ways to communicate with my husband about this. And I was honestly really nervous because, like I said, this is where he had so much fun. And I was just like nervous because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm already 6 years older than him. He's going to think I'm boring. Like, he's going to be like, why did I marry this woman? I didn't realize she was going to be like this. All these like programs running through my mind. Like, I wasn't good enough because I didn't want to drink and party, right? And so I realized that one of the most important things for me was to be communicating with him. And it is a true blessing that I am married to him. He has a background in social work, and so he has always made me feel safe. He has always made me feel like it was okay to share whatever I felt. And honestly, that probably is what has helped my journey the most, is having a partner that is absolutely okay with me being exactly who I want to be, even as I'm changing, because that's the important thing about marriage. Like, you are going to evolve and you are going to change. And how are you set up in that to support each other through the change? And so as I started going through this journey, right, sobriety actually gave me clarity, not just in how I felt physically, but mentally. I really started to discover things about myself that I had ignored or hadn't acknowledged before. For example, I am a very highly sensitive person. I am sensitive to people's energies, people's spaces. Big crowds and loud environments absolutely drain me. And being sober made me realize just how much these spaces honestly affected my mental health. Like, I would start getting anxious and worked up before, like, my husband would tell me about an event in a week or in the, however amount of time. And I would start getting worked up before the event even came. I was just like, oh my gosh, it's going to be this, and some of it was in my mind, but it truly was living out when I would go there. And so before, I could honestly like drink through it and pretend it wasn't a big deal. But now I had to face it. And so that clarity also helped me understand who I really am. And so through the journey, I just started realizing things that I actually enjoyed. And so I'm somebody that actually thrives in peace, in calm environments, and in spaces that allow me to recharge. I love alone time. If my husband and I aren't together, or my family with my boys, I just want to have alone time. And so I started to embrace the part of myself. Like, started being like, this is actually what I like. And instead of feeling like I had to change to fit into what everyone else was doing, I just started being like, this is what I like. This is what I prefer. And so, if you're listening and you're struggling with this idea that you have to fit in by drinking or by going to certain places, just take a step back. Ask yourself, do I really enjoy this? Does this environment bring me peace? Or am I just doing it to fit in? What I really noticed was the shift, honestly, too, of the impacts of alcohol on your health. I learned along the way that shifted my perspective on alcohol was as I started sharing things on Instagram. You know how your algorithm starts right, whatever the word is, when the algorithm starts showing, like I would share like a sober meme on my story, and then all of a sudden I started getting all these things, and I started seeing all the impacts of alcohol. Like I had no idea that alcohol stays in your system for 4 to 8 days. I had no idea that alcohol is basically like a depressant. You're going to feel worse the next day. You're going to have anxiety. You're going to have depression, your brain fog, you know. Did you know that alcohol can severely impact your hormone health and disrupt your sleep patterns? That's one of the first things I noticed when I stopped drinking. I was sleeping better. I noticed my liver, like my hormones started balancing out. My body wasn't trying to recover from the toxic effects of alcohol. So I was able to wake up refreshed instead of sluggish. Like that is one of the things my husband always says. He loves waking up on the weekends, not hungover. And that's how it was for me. I didn't realize all the things that alcohol has such an impact about. We are not we as a society do not talk about this. We only talk about like how much fun it is and try this and try that, right? It is such a societal norm drinking and getting drunk. It's not a societal norm to be healthy, to choose something else instead of drinking, to just going over and like talking about life. So not only that, but like alcohol affects your mental clarity. So one of the things my husband always does dry January, and that is one of the things he notices the most is his mental clarity. Like he is blown away at how clear his mind gets. And so I think the thing that also you need to ask yourself, and I even ask him, like, why are you choosing to drink? Why do you need to drink to get drunk? And that was one of the things, like, he couldn't even ask me. For me, I was drinking because everybody else was. I was drinking because I actually didn't want to be there, but I was a people pleaser. So the only way I could make it through, the only way I could like hang out was just to drink to numb myself. And so I think that's one of the things he's been asking himself a lot. And I've actually been noticing he drinks a lot less now. He doesn't drink to get drunk. He does drink like socially with his friends because all of his friends are still drinkers, but he's doing it less and less. And so I think that also has kind of been one of the most beautiful parts of this journey is how it's impacted my husband and I. In the beginning, like he didn't really think of it as a big deal that I couldn't drink because he saw how he's like, I think you might just like be allergic to alcohol. Like he would see me be able to have these effects. And he was like, yeah, you probably shouldn't just drink. But one of the things that was harder for him because he is such an extrovert. Like he loves people. People energize him. He cannot wait for the weekend to like go, 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 go. I can't wait for the weekend to chill, 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 chill. And so it was really hard for him to understand me at first of how introverted I was, how much of a homebody I was. It took him honestly a longer time for him to understand that part of me than for him to understand that I don't like to drink. But the thing that he has always done is he would always check in on me. He's like, are you okay? Are you doing okay? But now, honestly, he just knows me so deeply that he can kind of be like, yeah, we're not doing that. Or he will prep me and things like that. And so the other part that I think has really, really helped our relationship is our communication. You know, like I was so fearful to talk to him about all this stuff because I was fearful that he would view me as some type of way. And honestly, like we still talk about it to this day. There's still times when I do feel insecure. Like, am I taking your fun away? Or do you still have quality of life even though I'm this type of way? And one of the things too that we've kind of figured out when he is having that desire to like drink or, you know, go hard, whatever you want to say, he knows that that is something that he does with his friends and not so much I have to do. So he's getting that part of him fulfilled. And so I, again, am just so incredibly thankful for a husband that supports me and lets me be that. And so I think, like I said, sobriety gave me the space to figure out who I am. I did not think that stopping drinking and making me realize, actually, Brienne, you're an introvert and that is okay. That has been the most powerful part of this journey. I am a recovering people pleaser, like I said. So for years, I think maybe since infancy, I did things to make other people happy, even if it didn't make me happy. And I just look back and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I did and so many things that I didn't want to do to make other people happy. And what being sober has forced me to do is face that part of myself. I had to stop myself and ask, what do I actually like to do? What brings me joy? Because honestly, I personally believe being a people pleaser is what got me to a point of adrenal fatigue and hypothyroidism. I have hypothyroidism due to stress. My stress was actually spending so much time for other people and never doing what was joyful for me. Don't get me wrong, being around my husband and doing all the things brought me so much joy, but it was those certain situations that literally would have me down for an entire week. And so, you know what I did find out even more is I love being at home. I love slow mornings, sipping on my tea, grounding outside, cleaning my house at my own pace. I just love a good Saturday where I wake up, do my grounding, my tea, fill my diffusers, turn on some music, and I just like clean the house because it clears my mind. It's a beautiful, like you can see the effect of doing the hard work. And so I just realized that those things bring me so much peace. And I had been ignoring them for so long and honestly feeling guilty about things that made me happy because I felt like it wasn't the norm. And that I thought I had to like the same things other people did. And honestly, one weird thing is social media actually makes you find people that are like you. Like as the memes started rolling and I'm like, I would read them. I'm like, oh my gosh, somebody else thinks that way too. It is like so nice to know that there are other people out there that are introverted like me, that are highly sensitive, that want to stay at home, that don't want to be in big parties. They don't want to go to the state fair. They don't want to go, like to these different places because it's so chaotic. And they just love peace and tranquility. I am just thankful that those people are out there because for the most part, the people that surround me in my everyday life aren't like that. And so I've felt like such an outsider for so long. So y'all know I love a good call to action. As an educator, I always want to leave you with something to do. And so if you are somebody who is considering sobriety or just reassessing honestly your relationship with alcohol, here's something I want you to do. Take a moment today, grab a notebook, your phone, whatever you have nearby. I will also create a little document for you and I'll link it in the show notes that you can create like a little guidance and just write down what brings you joy. What are things that make you feel peaceful, that make you feel happy and grounded? It could be something as simple as reading a book, going for a walk, or having a nice cup of coffee in the morning. The other thing that's really cool about this is also a form of self-care. Like the things that you are going to list is when you're going to do as a form of self-care. I actually listened to a podcast once that said like color coding your calendar is a form of self-care. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's me. And so I think as you start listing this is truly also going to be your self-care list. And so this exercise isn't just about finding hobbies. It's about discovering who you are outside of what society or your friend group might expect of you. And if those don't include alcohol, that's okay. You don't have to do what everyone else is doing. And so here's just another reminder that finding yourself and being who you are is absolutely okay. You are absolutely okay to be different. It is absolutely okay to tell people that you don't like that. And it's absolutely a beautiful thing when you create those boundaries because I promise you, you are going to get closer to the person you want to be. And you will also get closer to the goals that you want to achieve because you will be in alignment with who you are and who you are being with your actions. And so thank you for tuning in to Just a Key at Heart, where we unlock dreams and passions within. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a little inspiration today. Don't forget to leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you're listening on Apple Music or Spotify, please take a moment to leave a review. It really helps the show grow and reach more people. Until next time, keep unlocking your best self.